I think the real key of servant leadership is to do, right? You learn to do, then you learn to teach, and then you teach the teachers. So there's 3 levels of learning. Learning to do, which a lot of you new people are coming in, learning to do the business of insurance. And then when you start developing a team, you're going to learn to teach your people by showing them and doing for them so they can do what you're doing, called duplication. And then when you get to the next level of duplication and leadership, you're teaching the teachers, right? Teaching the teachers on how to do what you just did. And that's where the multiplication happens. That's why having a large organization just perpetuates itself. I don't got to worry about directly coaching Mike and Noel because they've got it, man. They've got it from here. And Patrick, and that's what happens when you duplicate leadership. But it starts by not being, I'm this big leader of this organization, you have to do what I say. It's the other way. It's servant leadership. So that's really the model that I'm going to go into real quick right here, because I think it's real important to understand really the concept of servant leadership and giving you really an idea of what it's about. So servant leadership. So this model is based on one of my favorite books. It's called The Servant by James C. Hunter. And this is just a really fantastic model. There's a lot of different models of servant leadership, but his is the one that I relate to the most because it's he comes from a very Christian perspective, and the book reads like a story. So it's easy to read because it's a story, but he teaches some very specific things about his model of leadership. So I'm going to introduce that to you here if you've not read the book. So the servant leadership model, you can see it's leadership, authority, service and sacrifice, love and will, but you got to read it from the bottom up because it's a reverse pyramid. In authoritarian type leaders like the military, you got the general who tells the colonels what to do, and the colonels tells the majors what to do, the major tells the captains what to do, captain tells the lieutenants what to do, the lieutenant tells all the enlisted people what to do, right? It's sort of positional leadership, which that's the way the military works, and it has to work that way because in war fighting, that's important to have that type of authority. But warfighters also understand servant leadership too, because it's Leaders Eat Last. That's another great book on servant leadership. Leaders Eat Last. I think that's Simon Sinek. Obviously this is something that's near and dear to my heart. So let's kind of cover this real quickly as we close out. So let's define these terms. So what is leadership? Leadership is the skill of influencing people to work enthusiastically towards their goals for the good of themselves, but also for the good of the organization. Really what we desire is what's good for you is going to be good for the alliance, right? And we are looking at building the alliance because when you build the alliance, it's easier for us to build people to such a great opportunity that we call the alliance, right? So leadership is a skill of influence, but influence is built. So everything's a foundational to the one above it. So leadership is built on authority. So what is authority? Authority is the skill of getting people to do what they ought to do because of your personal influence, right? Like, for example, Patrick and Justin and Jonathan, they know the power that the events had on them to not only not quit, but to do this business and to make money doing the business and to be successful making money doing the business. So they have the authority because of what they've done, right? To get other people to do what they ought to do for them to be successful in this business because it's what they did. Now, what's authority built on? Authority is built on service and sacrifice. Service and sacrifice. This is the skill of identifying and meeting legitimate needs of those you serve. People that you bring on board the team, they all have wants. Everyone wants something, but because you've been through it, you know what they need. Sometimes people, they want to know what's the best script, but what they need is they need to believe that whatever script they're using will work if they do it the way that the successful people do it, right? So sometimes what people want when they're starting out, they really don't know what they want. They think they want this, but what they really need is this. And you're there to service, to give them service, and sometimes you have to sacrifice to help them meet the needs that to move forward in the business. And I know, like Jonathan, one thing I told him, I go, dude, how about if I buy your ticket? Would you be willing to come out? I mean, I was like bribing him, honestly, but not bribing him so much as telling him that, hey, man, if you're going to make a commitment, I'll make a commitment with you. I'm going to ante up some of my money. Okay, I'm going to ante up. I'm going to give to get from you. It's the idea of you reap what you sow. When you sow good seeds, you're going to reap a harvest. And I don't care what field you're sowing in. You could be sowing in other agents and other hierarchies, which I do all the time. And I've done that. I just do it because it's what the Alliance does. We sow into other agents, even though we don't earn an override on them, because we always know that the harvest will come in our own backyard. The Lord will always bless those who serve and serve with the right intent, heart, and will, and to do His will. So you will reap what you sow. The service and sacrifice, that's how you build the authority. So what is service and sacrifice built on? It's built on love. Okay, so let me define love. Love is not the feeling. In fact, I would challenge you, you love your wife, but sometimes you don't feel love for her at certain times, right? It's not what love feels like. It's love, the verb, right? The verb of love. What does that mean? Love is what love does. It's really your behavior towards others, behavior towards your team, the behavior of what you want to do, what you need to do to help others. And it's really based on 1 Corinthians 13. Y'all heard this at every wedding, you probably, like most weddings, that you've attended. And this is one of the best readings for weddings because it tells you what love is. It's what it does. Love is patient, right? You've got patience towards agents that drive you freaking crazy, okay? You have patience with them because they're just learning like you did. Man, if your upline treated you like how you sometimes want to treat, your people, you probably wouldn't be in the business, right? So they've exercised patience, which is something you need to exercise as well. If you want to build a big team, if you want to be a servant leader, kindness, humility, respectfulness. Like one of my buddies, Scott Mills, I made an offhanded comment, which I just truly regret because I didn't realize it would hurt him as much. It was sort of a joke. And so, it's one of those things that I even forget. So I'm talking to me, okay? I'm coaching me on these things. But love is kind. Love is humility. Like you're not lording over everyone because you're the upline. In fact, it's like, what can I do for you to help you move forward? It's that mentality. Respectfulness, respecting people. Right? I mean, everyone deserves to be treated the way that you want to be treated, right? But sometimes it means teaching them the hard things, telling them the hard things that they may not want to hear, because they think they need something else, but you're telling them what they need to hear in order to move them forward. But you're doing it out of respectfulness, the dignity of, their agency, the dignity that they're a child of God that deserves the same respect as you do, right? Because everyone's made in the image and likeness of God, right? The idea of selflessness, which is the opposite of selfishness, is you only do for others beyond what their family would do for them. To me, that is the ultimate, when you talk about loving people and putting the effort in, is that you're willing to do stuff for them that other people wouldn't do. Crazy stuff. I remember, I'm not going to say it because it makes it sound, anyway, forgiveness. Like, man, you got to have a short memory on being offended, right? Here's the thing. When you freely forgive others, then you deserve forgiveness from a Heavenly Father, right? It's the parable of the servant, right, who was forgiven his debts, and then that servant goes out and, like, strangles the other guy. Hey, pay me what you owe me. Right? The master learned about it and said, okay, man, you didn't exercise the same forgiveness I gave you. Now it's time to pony up and go into jail, right? Forgiveness. Honesty. Being truthful, man. Be truthful with people. Don't sugarcoat. In fact, sugarcoating's sometimes not good. Okay, being respectful, but be honest. Be honest with people, because people really want to know what it really takes to make this thing work. They need to know the trials and tribulations they're going to go through. You need to manage their expectations, right? Nothing worth doing is easy. Okay, and then finally, commitment. Love is commitment. Love is commitment to the people that you bring on board your team. Look, you were blessed to have them on your group, right? Whether they do anything is not up to you. Whether they do something is up to them. But showing them the example of what you need to be for them and what they need to be to make this business work is a commitment to making sure that you are always looking at improving yourself, coming out to events, doing everything you can to be the best version of yourself, the best that you can be, man. And when you're doing that, people will cut you slack. They know that you're not perfect, right? No one ever, I'm the least, right? When I think of myself, man, I'm the biggest sinner. Like, I need the biggest forgiveness. You know, that's why I pray all the time, because I constantly need forgiveness from my Father in heaven, who is unabounding in his mercy. And I always put myself in that position when I pray, because when I help other people, man, when I pray for them, and here's the ultimate, I think, act of love, is when you pray for your people that you bring on board your team. I pray for my people every day, twice a day, actually, the morning and the evening, and throughout the day when I talk to them. I say a prayer when I have a coaching call before, and I say a prayer after when I'm done with a coaching call, that they may receive the proper insight, that the Lord gave me the proper words to energize them to do what they need to do, right? So to me, self-service and sacrifice is built on this idea of love, the verb. And then finally, what's love built on? Love is built on will. What is will? Will is defined. So let's talk about the opposite, okay? Intentions minus action equals squat. Squat meaning nothing. You might have the greatest intentions, but you don't put any actions behind your intentions, then you will get squat, and you will get squat from your people, right? All the intentions of the world is a paved way to hell, okay? But now when you couple intentions with actions, that's will. When you're congruent between your intentions and actions, that's when you have the will, right, to then do what you need to do to love people. And then when you love people, you're willing to service them and sacrifice for them, right? The proper will. And then when we meet the legitimate needs of others, then we will be called to service and sacrifice. We're going to be working and we're going to be helping them. You know, some people who may not, be the most likable people in the world, but, we're not asked to like people. We're asked to love people, right? You can not like someone, but you can still love them by serving them, right? Sacrificing for them. Eventually you'll win them over like Jesus did, right? So when we serve and sacrifice for others, we build the authority or the influence. Again, the law of harvest, you reap what you will sow. When you serve people and sacrifice for people, even if they don't even know, it's not like you're telling them what you're sacrificing, but you personally give your time, energy, and effort, sometimes your money, to sacrificing people. Going out to serve them by traveling. You're doing it on your dime. You're not expecting anything in return other than, hey, if I sow into you, then the law of reciprocity says you will sow back to me. You will be the harvest of my sown seeds, of my sown effort, my sown love. And here's the ultimate. When we build authority with people, the influence, because we serve them and sacrifice for them out of love, because we have the intention lined up with our action, then we deserve to be called a leader. It's like what Andy Albright is for me. He deserves to be called my leader because he's done every one of these things for me. And that's my model of a servant leader, is when I see what Andy Albright's always done. And things I don't even know. I don't know probably half of the things he's done for me that he doesn't let me know, but he does it because he loves me and he wants to see me succeed. And he's exercised his authority because of what he's done on the service and sacrifice for me. He does it out of love and because his intentions line up with his actions. So I better get off that or else I'll start weeping like a baby. Anyway, man, thank you, Andy, for being this for me. And hopefully y'all will be this for other people. Now, here's the thing. What new people will go through, and you have to understand, remember when you were new? Okay. As a leader, servant leader, you have to anticipate what your people are going to go through. You know, it was this, in fact, let me, it's the emotional cycle of change. So I've got 6 minutes. No, I have 4 minutes. As leaders, servant leaders, you need to anticipate what your people are going to go through. Some people are excited, they get in, they're fired up, right? They have uninformed optimism. So at the top of the curve on the emotional stage, they're just fired up, right? And then over time, they start realizing that I got to make these calls, but not everyone's receptive. I've got these people yelling at me. People are bitching me out. People are not showing up on their meetings. And they start getting a dose of reality of what it's going to take to get through that. And sometimes they don't even see that there's light at the end of the tunnel, right? And this is where you as a servant leader need to kick in, anticipating that they're going to go through this, right? And you need to love on them. You need to give them what they need. You need to encourage them to get to hotspot meetings, to get around the belief, to get around the people. See, because people will believe as other people believe, but the only way they can capture that belief is to be at the same place where those people that believe are, like hotspot meetings, boot camps, and all 4 events. And we've talked about it here. They're going to go through this second phase, and then they'll hit the valley of despair. And this is the crux on whether they stay in or they quit, right? Stage 3, the valley of despair. And you as a servant leader needs to know when your people don't contact you that they're probably hovering right here. And this is the stage where they either quit or they stay in. And a lot of people stay in because of something you said, or a Zoom call they were on, they heard something they needed to hear, or they went to an event because they know they needed something. They didn't know what it was exactly that they needed. But then they hear that thing. They get motivated to stay in one more day, to make one more phone call, right? And they start to see a little bit of glimmer of success, another glimmer of success. And you're there as a servant leader, edify them, to help them, to educate them on the little pitfalls here and there and underwriting, whatever you need to do to move them up the curve, pushing through the failure to get to the success. And they start getting into stage 4, where now they're smarter, informed optimism. They're optimistic because they see the success happening, right? And then continuing to show them the value of building an agency and bring other people on and going to events with your people, like what Jonathan did. Doubled his group, 2 to 4. But you know what? He'll double it again, and he'll double it again. I'd take that any day of the week. And then stage 5, success and fulfillment. And there are ways to go up there, and it's called building a dream for yourself of what you want your life to be. It's way bigger, way bolder, way badasser. Okay, that's a word. Okay, that will blow your mind. But you will not get there until you get there, and then you see that what you thought was a peak is only, you're above the clouds. Now you see another peak on which you can move towards. And that's the beauty of this business, because there's always more peaks and more mountains to climb, because like John Maxwell says, success is always uphill. So Alliance Nation, man, thank you so much for being with us. And I'm proud of y'all on this call. Gang, if you've heard anything, you've heard that servant leadership is about getting people to do what they need to do to move their business on. And one of the things that you need to do, I will say you absolutely need to do, because I'm Alex Abuyuan and I'm your friend. I love you. Okay, is you need to be at View from the Edge. Borrow the money from your mama, man. Ask her for your early Christmas gift. Whatever you need to do to get, like I think the ticket's $4.99, but I know there are $2.99 tickets running around. I know we have a few. Well, I don't know if we have any more left, But there are people with the $2.99 tickets, whatever it takes, even if you have to pay full price, it's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth it. Your dream is worth it. You deserve it. You're made in the image and likeness of God himself. So you are worthy. You are worthy of that investment. So rock on, gang. God bless everybody. Lions Nation, Abuyuan team is out.